The Lincoln Project has a new ad out. It is powerful. Yes, it's about a woman's rights to her own body. Yes, it's about abortion. Yes, it's about life. But it ties it all together and it ends in a manner that we talk a lot about here on Politics Done Right. For those who vote for Donald Trump, how do they ... Let you listen to this ad, and then we'll talk a little bit more about it on the other side. Check this out. It is powerful.
Blood pressure dropping, we're at 80/50. Finger clamp, we're at 80/50.
It didn't need to end this way, Dad. You were so excited to be a grandfather. When you walked me down the aisle, those were happy tears. College, high school, sports. I could always count on you. You were my protector, my hero. You always made me feel safe, loved, like I was the most important person in the world. But it turned out he was more important.
The fact that I was able to terminate Roe v. Wade after 50 years of trying.
Each one of those abortion bans includes strict legal rules that are designed to be impossible to comply with. How does a mother who is dying in a hospital bed get to a courthouse to prove to a judge that she's dying?
You will no longer be thinking about abortion.
You knew what he'd do. You knew his politics would end my freedom, my rights. My life. You chose hate over me.
Yesterday, we spoke about not only yesterday, but episode after episode, we talk about the people who decide to vote for Trump no matter what. And before we go into the video and how the video is put in, or rather how Donald Trump, as expressed in the video, is putting the life of your loved ones at risk, not only about women's reproductive rights, but through a whole lot of other issues. But look, one has to ask the question. Let's forget about policy for a bit. We know what we are attempting, or what some are attempting to put into office. It is, I cannot say it more so, I must say it ad nauseum. One, a person who many women have accused of raping them or assaulting them, but he has been convicted from one particular one who decided to come forth and bring all the evidence. And in as much as the statute of limitation has expired, civilly, they found him liable for sexual assault. We see and we hear in his own words what he thinks about women, that he can grab onto a woman by her private parts and she's just got to like it. She's going to like it because he's a powerful guy, because he's a star, because he's a celebrity. That's how he thinks about those men who are voting for her, women who are voting for her. That's how he thinks about your wife, your daughter, your aunt. He specifically goes ahead and says, I am going to bring Supreme Court judges in that will destroy Roe v. Wade. And now your kid will be under the jurisdiction of the state, many of them right-wing states that will take your daughter's rights away. And he got the judges in. And not only did he get the judges in, but immediately thereafter, the red states did what they do best: restrict women's rights, restrict health care. But it goes beyond that, because he also gave the impetus to call what a woman does with her own body a crime, punishable. You have the video showing that he says, yes, the woman must be punished. Yes, the doctors must be punished. This is from the person, the authoritarian that many of you are thinking about putting back into office. Not to speak of, he loses a case where he creates this false Trump university that ain't no university, cons people out of thousands of dollars, and ended up having to pay them back for scamming them, the person you want to put into that presidency. Then, of course, there is the charity that he created and then used the money that he created out of this charity for personal use. Let's not forget all the monies he collected during different events, claiming it was for those who are working for the cause. Nobody ever saw a penny. Don't forget that this is a guy who, when many people came off to work for him at his different properties, he stiffed them and went and dared them to sue him because he knew he could keep them in court longer than likely many of them would live. Think about the guy who always attacked immigrant labor, attacked those folks that are trying to make a life coming over the border, but yet at his resorts, he hires them. He hires them and they are an integral part or were integral parts of his staff, many of them undocumented. But that's the person you're going to put in charge because you want control over the border. You want control over a woman's body. And you claim because you like the economy as it was under him. Not to speak about that the drop in the economy is a direct result of his mismanagement of the COVID pandemic. Had he not tried to make $1 out of the COVID pandemic or have the COVID pandemic disappear, it would not have spread worse in the United States, a first world country. It exploded more so than in my country, Panama, that they like to call third world country, didn't have the percentage of deaths that we had here in the United States. Many third world countries across the world, they followed the rules. They wore the mask when they didn't have vaccines. And even after the vaccines came to the first world, the Western world, many of these countries didn't have vaccines. And still, the death rates weren't the death rates that we had here in the United States because we had people who decided they would follow the rule. But because the leaders of those countries honored the rules, while Donald Trump and his ilk made fun of the rules, made fun of what would have stopped the transmission, made fun of science, which exacerbated the pandemic, which caused all kinds of economic issues that ultimately led to inflation, unemployment, etc., that then the Biden administration brought in, fixed it, and in the process had to make a lot of important choices that built the economy better so than any other Western economy. But you want to reward the person who destroyed the economy in the first place by believing the false numbers that he gave about how great employment was. It wasn't. Carter had Jimmy Carter's employment way exceeded Donald Trump's employment as a first-term president. So let's be clear here. Jimmy Carter's GDP exceeded Donald Trump's GDP. So let's get real, folks. Let's be very, very clear. Those who claim they're voting for Donald Trump for economic reasons, they choose to lie to themselves to vote for him. I don't know what the real reasons are, but we can assume. Those who vote for him because of abortion and because they believe in the sanctity of life, I don't know what they're talking about because, again, in the states that have trimmed on abortion and a woman's rights, those are the states where more people died. Not only the women, but even the women who bring the babies who these women bring to term. So the sanctity of life, the rationale being used to put a thuggish criminal who's been convicted of ripping off the states by not paying his taxes and by overvaluing his properties, which is a form of theft. That's who some would want to reward for the presidency. Only in America, only a privileged person that you have given that privilege, that you have anointed with that privilege, could somehow still be in a neck and neck race to be president of the United States with someone that's orders of magnitude more competent, that is orders of magnitude more intelligent, that can speak much more in a cogent manner than this person. And you want to say this isn't a country where some have privilege. This isn't a country where some can get away with what others can't. That really this is a meritocracy based on equity. We better look in the mirror. And if we look in the mirror, we likely not see someone that we would want our kids to look up to. if the vote that we make is for someone that follows the characteristics I've just described. And think about how can you look your kids, your children, your parents, your wife, your mother in the eyes and say, that was the best person for the job. That's why I picked that person to be the standard bearer of the United States of America. Vote for Donald Trump is not only immoral, it's an unpatriotic deed and likely the last real unpatriotic deal you'd be allowed to make.
We spend a lot of time deconstructing the news, trying to parse it into a form that everybody can understand. We try to find those little nitpicks where it flies above the fray, etc. If you really like these videos that we do, I want to ask a big favor. Please go ahead. Number one, subscribe to our channel. And number two, please join if you can. Thank you so kindly for watching. Keep watching. Please remember to share. We must populate the entire internet with our progressive message, a message that we know is what most Americans say that they want. So help us, please join.